Hi there everyone, Lars here with another Amphibia review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. So I've watched the newest episodes of Amphibia, Mother Olm and Grime's Pupil, multiple times by now, and there has been so much to get into with these episodes right here. There's a lot of great character development, a lot of great plot development, and some of the big questions are being brought to light. Though, however, we're not given many answers just yet. I think that's going to be for the next couple of episodes when we look at the root of evil and at the king and the core, when we really dive into the past and we see what on earth is actually going on. So, without any further ado, let's dive here into these episodes. And I'm actually going to start off first with Grime's Pupil, because this one was just way more character building. This one was a lot of fun, not too heavy on the plot. And I kind of want to really dive into Mother Olm with great more concentration and give Grime's Pupil its proper due right here. This episode was honestly just a whole lot of fun. Everything from the character dynamics all the way to Thunderdome. Again, I love how this season is just really leaning into just the wonky, crazy world that's been created by the apocalypse brought on by King Andreas and the core, as we get, once again, just this really crazy blend of medieval versus with technology, and it's just kind of built up this crazy like Mad Max Fury Road, and just like overall the Mad Max, the Road Warrior saga, just it keeps on playing out. We get, for crying out, we get Thunderdome in this episode. It's great. But what is really awesome here is the character development for both Sprig and for Grime. The interesting thing here is that there's really no massive revelation for these characters other than that, whoa, frogs and toads can get along, whereas we've already seen that frogs and toads can get along, but in this case right here, the real frog and toad need to get along are Sprig and Grime. And this honestly makes sense because ever since season 1, there's been a lot of animosity between these two characters. Grime has tried to kill them on multiple occasions. Grime tried to kill Hop Hop. Those are things that no kid is just going to let go of. And though Sprig has done a whole lot of growing up, Sprig still does need to grow up. Sprig needs to confront certain things about what's happened in his past. In this case particularly, what's all gone down between him and Grime. And so it's really great to see that the two of them train right here. I would have liked to have seen a longer training montage, but ultimately, though, it makes good sense. Sprig has gone through a whole lot in 2.5 seasons. Sprig has become a very formidable warrior. And so really what Sprig just needed was that Sprig just needed the toughness and the technique that Grime could impart. And for Grime's part, we've already seen that Grime can overcome prejudices really fast. In this case, however, Grime had to overcome a prejudice towards a character who he really doesn't like because Sprig delivered a very personal, crushing defeat at the Siege of Newtopia. So what we really see going on right here is kind of like a mini redemption arc for these characters right here. And not necessarily a redemption from who they once were, though maybe that goes more for Grime, but rather a redemption of a relationship. One that we could actually see had a lot of potential back in season 2, and especially like when we look at some of the earlier concepts for Amphibia, it's very clear that Sprig and Grime were meant to have some sort of greater relationship. And here, that finally kicks off. Now then, as a theorist, I was hoping that we would get to learn a little bit more about Sprig's background, because again, we've seen Sprig wield Barrel's Warhammer, which is only supposed to be used by toads, or more accurately put, only a toad can bring out the full power. And yet Sprig was holding the Warhammer and was still activating it, but he's too small, he couldn't wield it properly, which is how we get the really hilarious moment where he spins around and it conks Grime out, knocks him out. But yeah, so we didn't get any insight into that. That might be something more for the next couple of episodes when we learn more about the past. Perhaps we'll learn a little bit more about the planter background, see if there is any toad in them. That'd be really cool to see. But ultimately, right here, this was just a great, fun episode that brought these two enemies together, forced them to earn one another's respect, actually communicate properly with each other, and it all works out in the end. I really love how Sasha and Anne tackle this whole situation right here. It just goes to show that, once again, Sasha really is a good leader, and it's great to see how she has grown as an individual. And it's also funny to see her just become a cheerleader again. That scene was funny, and I like how Sprig is able to take on Grime's sister in just a really great, once again, Thunderdome situation, and everything's just resolved. It's just a good, fun episode. And it's an episode that brings us closer to the ultimate conflict. We know that the newts haven't yet been brought on board, but we now see that the frogs and the toads are allied with each other en masse, and that means that they now have most of the numbers that they need to take on King Andreas. All that needs to be brought on now are the newts, and then they will have the holy trifecta to take on the core and the king. Now then, let's get to what you really want to talk about right here. Mother Olm. Wow, this episode was fantastic. They just pulled out all the stops for this one right here. And this isn't even a full-length episode right here. This is just your typical 11 to 12 minutes. But wow, we got so much demented dark humor, great character development, great character insights, and some world building. It was all just really tight, really good. This episode really shows what you can do when you're on point with just more cropped, shorter storytelling with a very direct message that you want to get across. And it was a perfect balance of both A plot and B plot in just very little time. It was just, it was pretty much perfection. And I mean, it's great that they also got Whoopi Goldberg to voice Mother Olm. And I also love how they just brought in the joke of bats in the belfry, that there's mosquito bats in Mother Olm's head, and that there's a way to get into her brain, and that her doctor died on top of her brain, has just been moldering there. That can't be good for her health.
I think we just found Dr. Yo.
This episode was just fantastically demented, and oh my gosh, the punishment that Sasha went through. I love it. It's great because it just, again, goes to show that these are teenage girls, young teenage girls. Sasha's been through a whole lot. She's a hardened warrior and leader, and yet there are still certain things that as a teenage girl, she does not want to get into. And Anne, for her part, Anne would not have done this stuff back in season 1, but she of the three girls has really been in just the nastiest situations by this point. Now, walking into an eldritch god's head through the ear and going through earwax and snot really is probably not the worst thing that she's done at this point. And I really enjoy how this episode allows Hop Hop to just have his moment. Yes, it's clear that he's aging. He's getting on up there in years, and everyone's just wondering, so when is he going to die? There have been so many death flags. Look, when it comes to the whole subject of death flags, I personally don't put much stock into it. There's so many things that you can interpret as a character is going to die that then never comes to any sort of fruition. If anything, this was an episode that was there to kind of remind everyone, Hop Hop is old, and there's only so much that he can actually bring to the equation at this point. In True Colors, he fought alongside Grime, but he didn't have any sort of special powers or special abilities. Hop Hop was just doing the best that he could. However, while he may not be a great warrior anymore, Hop Hop has a ton of knowledge that can serve the heroes in a very tight situation. And Hop Hop is someone who will not give up on his family or on the people that he loves. Hop Hop has made many mistakes throughout the series, but here he is sticking it out, even though he feels like there's nothing more that he can really contribute, and he is being a hero. And in many cases, that is the definition of a hero.
What is
and
this
it's just
stuff?
really
It's
great
like
to see
quicksand.
I think we're in Mother Olm's
in
notes,
fiction depicted as caring, because there's this bad stigma against older people in a lot of stories where just the old people just kind of get in the way and they only come in clutch when they absolutely have to. Hop Hop is the absolute exception to the rule, and I love how, again, just his strengths are highlighted in this episode, and really it's thanks to him that Sasha and Anne are able to get more information from Mother Olm. Now, diving into the matter of the prophecy, like I said earlier, there's really not a whole lot that we can actually learn from this. If you've gone through the series and you've been translating everything that's been written in Amphibian, you'll realize that we've actually been given this prophecy beforehand. Only now are Anne and Sasha being told what this prophecy is, because back when it was introduced in Season 2, Marcy was more than capable of reading the text. However, she didn't tell Anne what was going on because Marcy was trying to have her awesome, adventurous life in another world and avoid the responsibility of going back home and moving away from her friends. She was taking a selfish out. And as a result, she most likely knew something of this prophecy and of the magic and everything, but she did not intend to let her friends know what was going on because she wanted to continuously have this adventure of world hopping and just going to incredible places and having incredible fun with her best friends. So now, finally, Anne and Sasha are in the loop. The audience, however, has known this information for a while, that 3 stars will determine the fate of all. And the core has very obviously tried to thwart all of this by first stealing away the powers from the girls and putting it into the music box, as well as taking over Marcy's body, so that way the trio that need to unite against the night, the oncoming night, can't do it. They are separated. And this is a very devious thing for the villains to do, to thwart this prophecy. Now, what we do learn from this episode, and this was communicated by Matt Brawley recently in a tweet, is that the night itself is not some oncoming event or monster. I thought it was a monster for the longest time, and I thought that a whole bunch of clues were leading up to that. I was wrong, and that's neat to see. Instead, the night is the worst selves, or the worst part of Amphibia, and it's the worst selves that the amphibians can embrace and can become. And the core represents this, because rather than leaving the magic alone, or even using the magic to serve other people or to protect people, they wanted to use the magic to go to other worlds, harvest these worlds for their resources, their technology, and information, and by stripping these worlds bare, as King Andreas earlier explained, they gained the knowledge necessary to create a never-dying hive mind of knowledge and power that could be used to guide the Newtopian Empire to yet greater galactic heights, and where they would eventually be in a situation to control the entire galaxy, maybe even control the entire universe. And by using the magic of the gems funneled and channeled through the music box, they would be able to access any world. So as Mother Olm says, all worlds hang in the balance here, because with this magic, all different kinds of things can be done. And the core has stored up just horrible knowledge within itself in order to conquer other worlds. The Newtopian Empire has proven itself very capable in conquering other worlds, though as far as we know, they've conquered what we might call weaker worlds. However, they have set their sights on much more powerful planets, such as Earth. And if they were to connect to other worlds, as per our connected cartoon universe theory, such as the Boiling Isles, they could bring intense might to bear and overpower places such as the Boiling Isles, or even go to other worlds that Ford Pines went to in his exile throughout the multiverse, and they could conquer yet other worlds. And whatever they conquer, they can assimilate into themselves and become even more powerful, like the Borg from Star Trek, or like the cultists from the game Talisman. With just one victory, they become even stronger than before and become just so hard to beat. That is what the core represents. If they have even 1 or 2 more main victories on any other world, the Newtopian Empire could very well become unstoppable. Now, we learn that the Olms and their culture, their society, their understanding represent an opposition to the Newtopian Empire, where they said, look, these gems, we don't understand where they come from. We don't fully understand their powers. Better to let them just be alone, just don't do anything with them, and we continue to do as we always have, and we'll be peaceful, and we won't bring on any catastrophe. If we do embrace them, absolute power might just corrupt us absolutely, and who knows what kind of horror that will bring out. It will bring out our worst selves, and our worst selves, absolutely empowered, could just be absolutely awful for the entire multiverse. For the Newtopian Empire, however, we learn through looking at all these different episodes of Amphibia, and it's really great then when you see like what's in Grime's Pupil, we see that there's this long history and heritage of warfare across Amphibia. It's not just the toads, but it's the frogs, the toads, and the newts have all worked in their respective stations to have a very warlike people. This is ancient, and that would probably make good sense why the Olms are like, do not touch this magic here. Do not use it, because we are a war-loving planet. And if we use this magic, we will bring war to other worlds. And from what we can garner from what little previews we've seen of future episodes, as well as, again, what King Andreas has said, that's exactly what happened. When you combine this amazing magical power with a tendency for conflict and conquest, you get the worst possible combination possible. So the knowledge that we get within this episode, Mother Olm, definitely brings a whole lot of stuff into context. However, it doesn't necessarily give us the big answers. What are these stones, these gems? Where do they come from? And honestly, what can they all do? Yes, we get the joke about, we're going to get anime powers! But really, what can those anime powers do? We know that it can bring great sustenance in terms of just energy and potentially even healing. In the moment, it does require a whole lot of energy, and it's sapped Anne pretty clean, and yet as Anne has used these powers more and more, she has garnered great control over them. She has access now to greater strength. She can manipulate energy. We know that they can world hop with this power. We don't yet know what else can be done. However, we do get a glimpse of when Mother Olm recites the prophecy that she supercharges the gems around her and causes plants to grow. Now then, what I think this means is that when all three girls are going to get their powers, we've seen that Amphibia has just been wrecked through industrialization. I think that Amphibia is going to be restored by the girls' powers in that they are going to basically regrow the vegetation on the planet and restore Amphibia to the wondrous natural beauty that it once was. However, still, we are left with a ton of questions, and those questions are meant to be answered in the upcoming episodes. This is honestly really great storytelling right here, because this is sometimes what can happen. Within a story, the audience can see what is coming well before the characters can, and it's great to have moments where even though the audience is like, yeah, we know this, if you can bring audience and characters and plot all together to a moment where now everyone is in the loop of what's actually going on, that can be really important. That can be really good, because now it centers us. It centers the story on what must be done next. From this point onward, everything about Amphibia is not just simply beating King Andreas and rescuing Marcy. It is about fulfilling the prophecy, which is the overall objective within the general plot, and it now means that Anne and Sasha, who have healed their relationship and are doing way better, they can now reach out to Marcy and heal the wounds of the past once they have saved her, and become the best friends that they were always meant to be. And I'm really looking forward to that. Everything that this show has been about is now coming to a head, and Mother Olm is that moment where everything has switched, and we are now headed towards just an amazing climax and conclusion for this series. Still, once again, we don't have all of the answers yet. We're still left mostly with questions, but now we've been given context and we've been given some clues that might help point us towards what to expect come the end of the series. So, that's been my review of these newest Amphibia episodes. Let me know what you guys think is going on down in the comments below. I know some of you guys are wondering, Lars, when are you going to talk about the connected cartoon universe again? Hold on just a moment. I am waiting until I see the next Amphibia episodes before I dive into a follow-up analysis of what is going on here. I even would want to wait just a little bit longer to see what nuggets we get out of the Owl House, but I think that we're going to get enough world-hopping information to better understand what is going on right here, and if we can then ascertain that we are indeed getting a connected cartoon universe. So, stay tuned for that stuff to come here in the very near future. In the meantime, if you're looking for more writing advice, please go check out our other videos here on YouTube. You can also go check out our podcast episodes found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We have writing exercises for all you novice writers out there on our Pinterest page, and we would love for you to join our growing community of authors. Links for all of that and more are down in the description. And until the next video, y'all, let's theorize on what's going to happen in the episodes Root of Evil and The Core and the King, and choose.